Welcome back to Danford Golf Instruction. Today we're going to teach you how to pitch the golf ball. All right, pitching the golf ball is super important and a lot of us struggle with it. All right, if you want to score on par fives or if you're just short of the green and you really want to get up and down and start shooting lower numbers, you need to understand how to pitch the golf ball. You need to understand how to control the low point when you are pitching, because a lot of us tend to chunk it or blade it from this distance, and we're just not really good with distance control when it comes to pitching it altogether. So today we're going to help you with that contact. We're going to help you start to learn how to control the distance a little bit better, and we'll go from there. All right, today we are going to talk about how to pitch the golf ball. Just a real plug here. In case you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. Hit the little bell button. You'll get all the future videos that we post. If you want any videos in the future, you can always leave comments down below there too. We always get to those, and we appreciate it. So the first thing when it comes to being good at pitching the golf ball is you have to control the low point of the club. All right, if you tend to hit behind it and chunk it, if you tend to blade it, that means that controlling the low point for you is something that you really struggle with. If you've watched any of my past videos, I always talk about controlling the low point by basically two ideas: what the left shoulder is doing and where the weight is in your golf swing. Okay, so if we're going to pitch the golf ball, we're talking anywhere from 10 to, you can even pitch it from like 40 yards, something like that. All right, you have to control the low point first. All right, and we're going to talk about the weight first. So if you tend to chunk the golf ball or blade the golf ball, right, a lot of times what I see is you kind of load up with weight on your back foot, and then when you pitch, you're trying to lift it up into the air. So I see the left shoulder start to rise, and I see the weight stay on the back foot. And so now the low point is either back here, so you chunk it, or you don't hit the ground quite enough, and then the club is rising up, and then you blade it. Right? So a lot of stuff that is very controllable with controlling the low point starts with where your weight is. All right, and since we're talking about 10 to 40 yards, you don't need to shift your weight a whole lot. You don't need to try to create a lot of force and a lot of power from the shot. These are more finesse shots. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to do is I want your stance to be a little bit more narrow. All right, so we're going to narrow it up a little bit here. That way it's easier not to have to shift your weight so much, and it's easier to keep it more on your front foot. So I want you to put about 65-70% of your weight on your front foot. So it's going to feel kind of forward. All right, but you will be able to feel it so much more if you start to try to drive backwards and get on that back foot. We want to eliminate those blades, eliminate those chunks. So keep that weight on that lead side, and you're going to try to keep it there. Right? If you keep it there, I promise you, automatically you will do better at pitching the golf ball. All right, you still might hit a little behind it or a little thin, but it's never going to be a blade, and it's never going to be like a chili dip or a chunk. All right, so step number one, get that weight forward. Now we move on to step number two. We've covered where the weight should be. All right, now we're going to talk about kind of more the body posture, the body positions that you should get into when you set up for pitching. Okay, so if we look at face on first, when you pitch, all right, it's very kind of similar to chipping. The weight's going to be forward, and your chest and your hips are going to be open. All right, this is all about helping you release the club. So if everything is open, when you come through, you can keep the face nice and square and solid. All right, if the body doesn't rotate open like that, right, that's when we see a lot of flipping of the wrists. All right, you're not going to be good at pitching the golf ball if you're casting the wrist, flipping the wrists like that. All right, this has got to be kind of a dead hands, dead arms move. I think Tiger Woods used to kind of refer to it that way. It's just going to be, everything is just kind of moved through by the body. All right, I'll show you kind of some examples of some players and what their follow through kind of looks like when they pitch the golf ball, and it might be completely different than what you're used to. Okay, I see a lot of players when they try to pitch it, I see the club face kind of out there, and they've tried to do so much stuff with their hands, and that's why it's so difficult for them to be good at pitching the golf ball. All right, so if we look at down the line, all right, you're going to basically not see my lead shoulder. My right shoulder was going to be a little bit more maybe out in front or to the right, all right, because my body is open. All right, if we look at it from face on, this is what's going to be kind of really weird to a lot of you, is you're going to feel like you're really stacked on the left side, and your head is almost going to feel on top of the ball or in front of the golf ball. Okay, that's going to be very foreign to you because you're going to want to try to get back behind it, all right, or do something really strange to it. All right, so we need to get the body positioned correctly. We got to get the weight correctly. Now we're on to step 3 of chipping. So we know where the weight should be. We know what the body position should look like. All right, now let's kind of talk a little bit more about the arms and how the body moves. All right, you've got to get that lead arm to stay straight. All right, it helps control the bottom of your swing. So if you're somebody who kind of tucks in, you got to really work on keeping it straight. Okay, if you have to feel like you kind of drag it on the ground to kind of work on keeping your arm straight, you can do that. There's another tool out there called a tour striker ball, where basically you can buy like a cheap ball at Target or something, put it in between your forearms and practice pitching with it, because it'll cause you to keep your arms straight. Right? If your arms bend, the ball will fall out. Very simple fix to help you pitch the ball a lot better right there. Okay, so if everything is set up correctly, all right, when you swing back and swing through, I want that chest and everything to open up to keep that face nice and square. All right, keep those arms nice and straight and long. If you keep your weight nice and square and your body is in the right position, you should be able to pick that ball right off the ground. All right, you shouldn't have a problem duffing it into the ground or stabbing it into the ground. All right, I'll show you just a quick few. All right, so you can kind of see the differences. See if you can tell which is the correct one and which is the one that we need to get better at. Maybe I made that too obvious. All right, leave down a comment down the bottom which one do you think is correct, or maybe which fault did you see in each one. All right, each one showed a different fault. All right, so I hope this little pitching lesson really helps you. All right, real fast, let's go ahead and talk about how to control the distance. All right, automatically we know that center of contact is a big key to control the distance. The other thing that you need to control the distance, I think, is the Dave Pell's method. He thinks about positions in a clock. All right, where the club should go. I don't really think about where the club should go personally. I'm pretty good at kind of telling where my hands should be in the golf swing, so I guess you can say it's a small clock inside. All right, so I can kind of tell where my hands need to be because I've practiced enough. Again, this takes practice to get really good at pitching, but we just want to know where the club is in your swing. And then, of course, if you take it this far back, if you finish here, you're still going to struggle even if everything's good. All right, you have to let the body carry through, and usually if you match sides, all right, that's really going to help you control the distance. A quick tip, if you want to hit the ball a little bit higher for a pitch shot, if you take it to here and you usually finish here, if you take it this far back and you finish a little bit higher, all right, with the body still rotating, not speeding it up, but the body still rotating through, the ball will come off a little bit higher off your face. All right, and again, trajectory is a big way to control the distance also when it comes to pitching. So trajectory is just controlled by how far ahead your hands are at impact. Okay, so play with trajectory, find out which works best for you. Go hit balls from 20, 30, 40 yards, figure out where your hands are, what your tempo needs to be, and then just play with your follow through. Some people might have a bigger swing, some might have shorter. You might be better at hitting it lower. I personally like to hit everything a little bit lower when it comes closer to the green because I want to hit it closer to the hole, and I know if I try to flight something high, I'm going to struggle with that. So again, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you made it this far. Hit that little bell so you can see all our future videos.